Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, and today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Industrial Riverbed. Yes, indeed, Industrial Riverbed, where the fighting shall be taking place amongst the muck and dirt. This is a bit of an older cast, it seems, but nonetheless, let us be fighting for the fatherland, or something similar, whatever sort of nationality you get behind. And who shall be fighting right here? Well, in the eastern half, we are seeing Pretix of the Americans, 4th Infantry Division, going up against the crowds of Testbunny. Yes, indeed, he who tests the bunnies most viciously is here fighting for the Panzer Elite. Yes, indeed, I know some of you have been asking for those type of games, but here he is, fighting for the 2nd SS Panzer Division, Das Reich. One of the oldest of the SS Panzer Divisions, alongside Leibstandarte and Totenkopf. And let us in fact get right down to it. Let us see how this works out. Several seconds before anything actually happens in the base of Pretix. Kettenkrad heading outwards, of course. No Schwimmwagens for Testbunny. He's not a Schwimmwagen man, he's a Kettenkrad lover. Bit of night politeness there. Engineers on the way, barracks going up. All good, all good. Engineers sort of hanging about, lounging about perhaps even, who knows. And a second Kettenkrad coming out of Testbunny's headquarters. So far not a single Panzer Grenadier. He's apparently opting to seize as much territory right away as possible, and of course the Kettenkrad is quite good at that. Of course that is one of the things the Kettenkrad can actually do, I mean, with some doctrines against do perhaps a bit of scouting and all that, but its primary purpose is basically seizing territory. And we are in fact seeing from Pretix a Jeep. He's rather expecting, hey, I'm going to be disrupting those Kettenkrads and doing something nasty towards them. Thus, I'm getting a Jeep, the Wilson's Jeep with the 30 caliber air-cooled light machine gun. And I think in one case, one person actually tried to correct me and point out that's a 50 caliber. No, it's not a 50 caliber. It's much larger. There's quite a difference. And there we go, 30 caliber air-cooled, which is sort of the light MG version of the 30 caliber. There's also the heavy MG, which is water-cooled. And the Jeep is already going towards the southern area, perhaps hoping to catch some Kettenkrads. Panzer Grenadiers heading towards the center, Gewehr 43 in hand, 2nd Panzer Grenadier team on the way. And setting up the Kampfgruppe Company, and this Kettenkrad might soon be getting it. The Willys surprise, that's the Willys Jeep, I believe. And there we go, opening up on the Kettenkrad. Kettenkrad needs to get away. Of course it wasn't built for fast getaways, it was built actually as a sort of very light tractor. So sort of putting down things where you couldn't actually get some sort of heavier vehicle into it. The job, the Kettenkrad was there, and it's rather getting visually hunted down with the Jeep. Kettenkrad, of course, making the smart move, pulling towards the Panzer Grenadiers, who of course will be able to help it. Of course, I'm not entirely sure why he's using his Panzer Grenadiers to seize territory. I mean, Panzer Grenadiers aren't really good at that. They're in fact worse than Pioneers. They're not really the sort of standard unit you would do for that. You'd more use them for actually fighting the opponent. And that for some reason is why this is seeming a bit odd, in particular when he has 2 Kettenkrads to seize territory from him pretty swiftly. Then there's no need to use the Panzer Grenadiers for it. Instead, he probably ought to be taking the fight to the Americans, shoot down some engineers in the face. A good Kar-98K with the Gewehr 43 tends to make such things very short riflemen heading about in the south. Kettenkrad getting spotted. The Jeep really proving a nuisance, and the rifleman immediately begins seizing territory. Of course, riflemen being one of the fastest units to seize territory, so that's nice to see. There we go, further Panzer Grenadiers perhaps linking up. Still, he's using his Panzer Grenadiers to seize territory rather than fight the enemy. In particular in the north, where it's actually pretty cushy and pretty squishy, since there's only a Jeep and engineers. I mean, his Panzer Grenadiers could be wreaking havoc. Not the best start at all. Further riflemen coming on the way. The Jeep sort of now being forced away out in negative cover. Again, negative cover like water. Not only means you're easier to hit, take more damage, but you in fact move slow, which of course makes it very nice to be caught up there. Kettenkrad, and we are seeing Luftwaffe right away, not even 5 minutes into the game, and Testbunny has gone for Luftwaffe, eloping and escaping the American forces, but for how long I cannot say. Engineers mucking about in the east. Panzer Grenadiers heading northwards. Are they going to be seizing territory there? Will they actually be finding the enemy? And looks like an infantry half-track is ready. Sonderkraftfahrzeug 250. Leichte Panzer Spähwagen, infantry half-track Basically, I mean, it was sort of, though, meant for reconnaissance purposes mainly, although in some cases if the forces couldn't, the Panzer grenades couldn't get a proper one, they'd be getting this one. And yes, indeed, he's not using his Panzer grenades to fight the enemy. He's using them to seize territory again. That's not really the most optimal usage, in particular not to take a high yield fuel point. I mean, that's the thing that's really going to take some time, which a Kettenkrad could do faster. And of course they could even just cut this off once to deny the American the fuel even then. I mean, really seems to be a bit off. And he's using his infantry half-track on its own. He's not supporting it with Panzer grenades. I mean, it's in a half-track. It's supposed to work with infantry, not on its damn own. Testbunny, you are disappointing me grievously. Panzer grenades facing off against the rifleman right here in the south. Oh dear, how shall it work for the rifleman? One down, not stopping to seize territory. Infantry half-track continuing to fire away, not doing too well. The rifleman a bit too far away for the infantry half-track to really get the maximum effectiveness out of it. Another rifleman down, moving away. Kettenkrad getting hunted down by the jeep. Pulling back towards this building where some Panzer grenades are hiding. They're still not using it to seize the point, and he's not using his Panzer grenadiers to fight. I mean, come on, Testbunny, haven't you been watching my cards? Yes, I know there's been a bit, you know, not much Panzer Elite as of late, but I thought you'd watch it. Perhaps just watch it a bit back. I mean, this is not really how you play them to their fullest extent. And there we go, Kettenkrad lost. No idea why he didn't pull it back. Rifleman under a bit of fire. Engineers coming under fire here from the Panzer Grenadiers. Infantry half-track having to get repaired, and only one rifleman down for that. Again, I mean, it's a support vehicle, not an armored car.
Losing ground out there.
Use it like that and it will work brilliant. In fact, it will do terrible things to your opponent, but again, it needs to work in conjunction with infantry, otherwise, I mean, it's not going to do much. So remember that, and of course now he's actually getting some Panzer grenades to support, and all of a sudden those riflemen died very swiftly. And Luftwaffe troops now arriving, of course using that bit of the arm to really quickly repair the half-track, but again he needs to be a bit more cautious and thoughtful of his use of infantry. I mean, he's using the Panzer grenades in an absolutely slow-poked and defensive manner, which does not really suit them. Panzer grenades get engaged, and we are seeing BARs equipped for Pretix. Pretix apparently not deciding to go for any sort of vehicular light armor right away, which could actually have served him quite well. Oh well, and the jeep moving in for another Kettenkrad again needs to escape, and now he's hiding both Panzer grenade teams in buildings. He's locking them down, of course. Good if he's expecting the enemy to attack from here, but if not, well, it's not going to do much. And another Kettenkrad down. I mean, Testbunny, do protect your Kettenkrads. Don't move them about in hostile territory like that. Another Panzer grenade team laying down some buildings. I believe that will be the Panzer Support Command. And there we go, half-track moving in on the rifleman. Rifleman a bit out in the open. Luftwaffe troops staying in the half-track. Panzer grenade standing right in front of the rifleman in heavy cover. That's not necessarily the best spot to be. I mean, it would have been a nicer move to actually flank the rifleman so they wouldn't be getting so much advantage of the heavy cover. I mean, again, heavy cover is directional, that sort of thing. You can really use a half-track for, you know, flanking in a very nice manner. And there we go, rifleman taking quite some losses on the retreat. And if he's going to be taking... Yes, he's going to be using the Panzer grenades again to seize territory. I mean, the Luftwaffe troops can seize territory faster. I mean, Christ, he doesn't really seem to know that Panzer grenades are pretty terrible at seizing territory. I mean, again, you can use it sometimes, but it shouldn't really be what you use them primarily for. And that's currently the main problem of Testbunny. He's been primarily using them for seizing territory, not fighting the damn enemy. Pretix whistling down a bit mines, but at the same time he's awfully spreading out his troops out, a medic station up, and he doesn't really seem to be coordinating much. Here we are, a bit of engagement right there out in the open. Troops in heavy cover. Perhaps an idea would be for Testbunny to use his Luftwaffe troops to lay down sandbags to protect the troops. I mean, that would be a clever idea. No, instead he's advancing right up at them. Some riflemen, of course, not in heavy cover. Mine goes off. One has to remember that the mine spotting effect only lasts for a certain amount of time. Panzer grenades are still hanging out. Riflemen getting shot up. And a medic moving in to pick up the wounded. Panzer grenades need to get into the half-track. I mean, there's no point in having them stand out. I mean, they can fight just as well from within it. Just there's only one team that can do it at a time. And why not move them close, you know, charge in. Get the most out of the LMG. And get those Panzer grenades up close as well. I mean, come on. Finally moving in those Panzer grenades from the north. Several equipped with Gewehr 43 riflemen here getting shot at as they move in to fight here. Again, move them into the half-track. Come on. please. And, oh no, he's using another Panzer Grenade team to move about instead of fighting it. I mean, that's really a terrible misuse. And these Panzer Grenades need to retreat. Oh dear. Testbunny, I had so much faith in you. And now you're just disappointing me. Oh well. And the Jeep is lost. And yes, I didn't really have a lot of much other highly better games. There you go. I can't really cast high level games if I don't have them. Or at least not longer ones. So my apologies. Still not all bad. Right from being forced away. I mean, he's still using an infantry half-track, which is, you know, not what most Panzer Grenadier commanders use, sadly. So it is quite alright. Again, if supported properly and not because someone decides, oh, I want to use that as an armored car, which it doesn't work as. And again, Testbunny, do not use the Panzer Grenadiers as your primary force for seizing territory. Use that nice Kettenkrad, which is doing nothing. Nothing. I mean, please, Testbunny, you're making me sad. You're making me doubt your doubt your competence. I mean, you seem to previously be doing so alright in your games, and now you're doing this to me, Testbunny. Panzer Grenade is hanging about here, and yes, I might be sounding harsh, but again, I sort of kind of expect from repeat senders into my cast, you know, that they actually try to learn and they, you know, try to play the forces in a way that's optimal. In particular, when they probably have been watching for a time, and I keep saying, don't use your Panzer Grenades as the main tool for seizing territory. They are terrible at it. Use those Kettenkrads which you built free off by now. Grr. And yes, I'm sounding a bit annoyed, but again, for some reason, such things can be a bit annoying when it's someone who has been watching the cast for some time, and such, and who keeps making such things, doing them. And offensive efficiency, increasing the accuracy of the light machine gun on the half-track. That's a good one, in fact, cutting down the rifleman even more viciously. A sticky bomb goes off. Luftwaffe troops firing away in support. And further riflemen moving in. We will be seeing focused fire from the anti-tank half-track to stop those riflemen. Come on. Focused fire. Focused fire. Increases the accuracy, makes it much more lethal. And don't repair with troops right in front of it. Oh, Testbunny, and you're not using focused fire. Although the increased accuracy also increases attrition, it seems, but really, why not use focused fire? Infantry half-track in trouble, and anti-tank half-track getting sticky bombed as well. Again, why he isn't using focused fire is absolutely beyond me. And the infantry half-track apparently survives another sticky bomb. Panzer Grenadiers moving in to support. Infantry half-track finally goes down. That was a very sad loss. Could have probably been avoided. And again, why is he hanging about with those Panzer Grenadiers in those two houses? Use them, there's no point in it. Again, they're aggressive infantry. Use them like that and get the drop on the enemy. I mean, you have half your infantry force inside two buildings where nothing is happening. I mean, at least Pretix is doing this right. He's focusing on where the enemy isn't strongly entrenched and is weakest. I mean, that's the good job. And Testbunny is not reacting to this at all. I mean, had this been a proper opponent, I imagine things would have been a lot grimmer for Testbunny. I might have just getting rushed by flamethrowers here as well. I mean, there's plenty of things he should not be hiding his Panzer Grenadiers in there for such a large part of the game, doing nothing. And now he's using focus fire. It seems like now, not when his infantry half-track was in danger. I mean, come on. And right from now, moving in. Supply yard is up. Panzer is firing away. Coming a bit under fire from riflemen, hanging out behind that wrecked infantry half-track. Panzer Grenadiers with assault rifles. Nice combination there. Of course, also means he has the Panzer commander. He's got an Armada 3 on the way. Not entirely sure why at this stage. I mean, he's seeing that there's sticky bombs and BARs. That probably means, you know, that your opponent is going to stick with those BARs and not going for any armor right away. Of course, he could, for example, instead gotten the Panzer Port Command upgrade, perhaps gotten a Kotchkiss or a Panzer 4 instead. For some reason, he's getting a Armada 3. The reasoning behind it actually escapes me, and there's no point in getting it. And if something should happen, something like a sudden rush for armor, I mean, he still has the anti-tank half-track to temporarily knock out the treads and buy himself some time. Riflemen advancing on the Panzer Grenadiers need to get out of there. They're out in the open. They're still doing some damage to the riflemen with their assault rifles. Not looking good for Pretix, and he might actually want to consider changing the axis of attack, getting some flamethrowers and burning them out here, or going through here. I mean, again, now he's seems doing that. Another thought there, which again, sort of the banging your head into a wall approach, not really the sort of thing that helps you. But again, as long as Testbunny apparently just decides that focus fire is for sissies, things might be doing alright. Look for troops hiding in the house, doing a bit of a nice job and supporting there. Riflemen getting torn to bits out in the open. No support weaponry. Incendiary grenades coming out now. And interestingly enough, he's not making a single move towards it again to sort of draw away the Panzer League commander from his decent positions right here. Further assault rifles for the Panzer Grenadiers, and finally moving towards the north, finally getting the hint. And engineers finally getting equipped with flamethrowers. But aren't they going to move in on their own, or will there be infantry to support them, or otherwise those engineers are going to get gunned down? Otherwise some sort of vehicle would be nice, of course, or a weapon support center with perhaps a sniper or a mortar or a heavy machine gun to stop all those light vehicles. Never mind, the Wirbelwind flak Panzer has arrived. That's certainly going to prove a bit of a nasty surprise for the Americans. Riflemen under fire, Luftwaffe troops with offensive veterancy. Wirbelwind moving in, gunning down the riflemen, slaughtering them out in the open road. These two chaps need to retreat. Anti-tank half-track also moving in. Only one team of riflemen left behind. And the firepower being arrayed against them is quite overwhelming. One down, medics moving in. And an assault going in here. Charging forwards out in the open, not using cover. I mean, there's nice cover right there to occupy. The Panzer Grenadiers are even right in front of the building. I mean, you're just suffering needless losses. And riflemen moving about in the south. Again, Panzer Grenadiers not giving up entirely, though some of them are getting out now. They're aware that there are flamethrowers nearby, and they don't want to face that. And some riflemen have snuck through in the south to harass the fuel point. Good, good. And now the Marder 3 is left behind, of course, having drawn out the defense. Of course, that's what you want to do. And he could, in fact, sticky bomb that half-track if he wants to. Come on. I mean, we're finally seeing some successful drawing out the opponent. I mean, that's a good point in strategy. But sadly, he's not exploiting it. Laying down mines. Could perhaps be a bit more up in the middle of the road. Or the ramp, whatever. And now, of course, focusing all of his forces down here in the south. Might want to retreat. You can't deal with the Wirbelwind. Retreat. You cannot win this fight. Again, know when to hold them. Know when to fold them. And there we go, retreating. Jolly good move. I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. What is the current situation? Currently, things aren't looking too well for our American friend. I mean, slight unfortunate intensity with constantly banging his head into the wall instead of trying to draw out the opponent's defenses, thus forcing him to spread out his forces, thus making it easier to gain us proper penetration through those lines and doing some damage. Instead, we've sort of seen some banging head into the wall, and now he's finally doing it and finally gaining some territory again. Though Testbunny is still holding most of the territory, and yes, as we might have noticed here, against a concerted attack, this sort of defense right here didn't actually hold up for very long now, did it? No, he probably could have used them much more aggressively for much greater effect. But sadly, that is apparently not in Testbunny's ideas. Again, I have no idea why he does have that Marder 3 at this stage. He's not doing much. The Wirbelwind, quite frankly, is doing much more. And of course, all those Panzer Grenadiers with assault rifles and Gewehr 43s. Lots of automatic weapons or semi-automatics. Good move. No supply and upgrades, so there's a medic station. That's nice to see, at least. But Pretix really needs to push through. He needs to do some damage. And of course, he needs to keep up laying mines. Of course, make it harder for the German player to take things back for the Panzer Elite. And, well, Testbunny just needs to probably destroy those American forces, and he needs to be more aggressive. He needs to stop just using his Panzer Grenadiers for seizing territory and use them for fighting the enemy, their primary purpose. Damn it. So let us return to the fight. Riflemen on the run, some going down.
One of our sectors has been cut off.
Riflemen moving towards the center, Panzer Grenadiers evacuating. Engineers retreating as well. Could be something might be going on there. No idea what the anti-tank after is doing there. Rifleman catching the Panzer grenades out in the open. Will there be any suppressive fire from the rifleman? Yes, there we go. Good move, but an incendiary grenade goes off from the Panzer grenades on the rifleman. Again, though note, incendiary grenades are not hand grenades, though they can do some damage, and one scorched Yankees tumbles into the ground, but the Panzer grenades are still suppressed, taking quite a bit of automatic fire. They'll probably remain in that situation, and they need to retreat. Medics moving in to pick up the burned wounded. And probably some larger amount of force should have been used here, but good use of suppressive fire. Now anti-tank grenades, field craft. My goodness, Testbunny is really getting all those upgrades on the Panzer grenades. He might be hoping to get the sprint ability on them. Could be a possibility. It's not one you see very often in games, partly because it requires so damn many upgrades. And unlike Fire Up, it doesn't actually give you any sort of ability to negate suppression. It just means you move faster for a short amount of time. Larger Panzer grenade force moving in. Riflemen on some sides. These chaps need to retreat. And those chaps certainly not doing too well either. Riverbed moving in, suppressing the riflemen. No anti-tank support ready. Retreat those riflemen, Pretix, if you'd be so kind. Getting suppressed and forced to retreat. Slow down a bit. Taking quite some losses. And these still need to retreat, mate. You know, when there's an enemy nearby and you have a 3-man team with barely any health left, you know, that's the sort of hint you might want to retreat them. Oh dear. Motor pool up, lots of riflemen hanging about. In fact, he's got 7 rifleman teams, if I'm not mistaken. Goodness gracious, that's quite a bit. We'll have a look at him soon, but I imagine he has a horrible amount of upkeep, and he's not even upgrading the motor pool. Oh dear, although one of the teams actually was reformed there, but still quite a bit of manpower being used on that. He really needs to upgrade that supply, and of course it also helps with the veterancy for his own troops. Panzer grenades advancing. Might be hitting a mine. Yes, there we go. Panzer grenade down. The rest wounded and suppressed. Rifleman heading towards the center. No, that's engineers. Some hanging about here, not moving forwards. He could be lending to a rather heavy assault in the north with all those riflemen he has. And there we go, attacking from the center. And these chaps also need to move out. Riflemen moving about here. Incendiary grenades on the riflemen, scorching quite a few right away, forcing them away. And Pretix, yes indeed, barely 200 manpower at this stage. And we are in fact seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 riflemen and an anti-tank gun. But he's also floating quite a bit of resources, my goodness. He could at least get some more anti-tank guns or something else. Grenades apparently being prepared for the riflemen. But really needs to push on, needs to be more aggressive, and needs to really get the advantage that he has. In fact, a lots and lots of riflemen, you know. Push it. Don't muck about.
Quit your yapping and get ready to move. Your orders, sir.
Medics pulling in the wounded, unharassed.
Forward supply station secure. Sector being captured.
Some bits of the 2nd SS Panzer Division hiding right here. Marder 3 still watching. Still not really doing much towards the war effort and the victory. Kettenkrad getting gunned down, it seems. Panzer grenades getting shot up. Of course, they have increased squad size, now that certainly helps a bit. Rifleman getting shot out again. I have no idea why he keeps moving about in the open, not trying to stand still in cover at least. And why he keeps sending in his troops piecemeal. I mean, that's not really helping him one damn bit. Panzer grenades forced away. Rifleman also forced away. Might be cut down the retreat. But the rifleman needs to advance. He needs to push. Always push the advantage if you see one. And running straight into this rather supreme force. And the rifleman getting absolutely murdered, massacred, killed, ground into the dirt. While forces of the riflemen push forwards in the north, the troops not looking too well.
We're losing ground.
Taking up position right there, could be grenaded. There we go. But the Luftwaffe managed to dodge it all. It's quite a big building, and of course, and one thing to remember, and let's just briefly pause, is that there's sort of an internal geometry of the building, and of course, the grenade does damage depending on how close the troops are to it inside. I mean, it's not just magical. Oh right, there's one grenade inside the building, everyone will take damage. If it lands somewhere in the building where there's nobody hiding or anyone there, it's not going to be doing anything. A very important little bit there. But let's return to the fight. American troops getting shot up. Now the Luftwaffe troops are evacuating, abandoning, and making a run for it. Despite being veterancy 2 offensive, actually helps quite a bit. Makes them much more accurate and actually fire a bit faster as well. So they can certainly be alright troops. Riflemen still getting reinforced. Still no upgrade for the supply yard. Panzer grenades getting burned alive. And the Kettenkrad for some reason running around right close to that. Pretix making a push in the center. He's still, I mean, somehow managing. Then again, that's probably because of Testbunny, who's built an awful lot of buildings. But it's not pushing for a single Panzer for anything, or even an armored car. And he's laying back with his riverbed. He's not pushing it in to sort of attack the enemy. Not very good. Riflemen charging forwards. Getting shot down, it seems rather tragically. Have to be careful about that, moving about in terrain against automatic weapons. Incendiary grenade. Need to retreat those troops, not stand up out in the damn fire. One catches on fire, he finally gets the hint. But securing some territory in the north and using Panzer grenadiers to seize the territory. I'll not repeat what I have said on that so many times already. Still no supply yet upgrade. Still disappointed. And one rifleman team now facing off against 2 Panzer grenade teams with automatic weapons and offensive veterans. Again, out in the open. Not really want you how to do it. Again, coordinate with several forces if you have them. Perhaps use some suppressive fire then when they're suppressed, move in with a grenade or something. And looks like another force is moving in. More Luftwaffe support. Apparently the 17th Luftwaffe Felddivision is being moved into support. The 2nd SS in this area.
Artillery support is now available.
And Riflemen securing the center, but still not a lot of victory points in the hands of Pretix. And if they are, it's for a very short time since he's not really able to hold them. And Panzer grenades once more flooding into the north, and seemingly no counter movement from our friend Pretix.
Losing ground out there.
Of the 31st. No, that's the 4th Infantry Division, sorry. Quite a few riflemen getting surrounded by Panzer grenadiers moving in from all sides. Lots of automatic weapons firing, blasting, shooting. Getting suppressed. Other Panzer grenadiers hiding behind a wrecked wing from some crashed airplane. Panzer grenadiers moving in here from the north as well, firing away from this building. Good move. Riflemen out in the open, not in cover, taking some damage. Pretix needs to get a hand on things. And apparently now moving in to harass the lines of Testbunny. But his riflemen are getting chewed up in the open again. Cover, cover, my friend, Pretix. And moving in with grenades to oust the Panzer grenades, but they're getting themselves covered in incendiary grenades and fire and death and gloom and gore. Riflemen need to retreat.
Supply lines are broken.
But apparently they're not. And now the building with the Panzer grenades are getting blasted away by the anti-tank gun. Riflemen ready to move in, but they're not. And the medics just keep pulling in the wounded. A nice bit of harassment right there, cutting off Testbunny for most of his territory. At least a small victory. Still not an awful lot of units actually from Testbunny, and still not moving out those Wirbelwind and anti-tank half-tracks. Quite sad to see. Now he's climbing about his troops around the points. Riflemen getting gunned down out in the middle of the road. The last place you want to be when the bullets start flying. And the rifleman team was in fact lost right there.
Our front lines are collapsing.
Seems like Pretix and the 4th Infantry Division is sort of falling apart.
Rifles territory cut off from supply.
But at least one victory point is in their hands. Panzer Grenadiers and Luftwaffe troops moving in from the north. And from... no, not the west. Nor the south. Apparently the veteran 2 Luftwaffe platoon was in fact lost. And tank busters are moving in. Apparently expecting armor. Riflemen out in the open again. There's been absolutely no attempt at creating some cover for the Americans. You know, some sandbags or barbed wire, or even great amount of mines again. A bit sad, and he does have a doctrine, but he's not getting much out of it. Riflemen getting blasted to bits on the slopes of Mount Death to the Americans. Oh wait, there we go, there are the veterans of 2 Luftwaffe troops. Nice to see them still about. And Panzer is taking up position there.
We have territory cut off from supply.
Medics pulling in the wounded as usual. Apparently the squadlies in this case both. Anti-tank gun getting away. Panzer is getting suppressed. Anti-tank guns rather exposed. He has 3, but he's not really using them in a slightly aggressive manner. So no push against. And the riverbed is still not doing much either. But the anti-tank guns are rather exposed. Lots of riflemen. Again, he doesn't quite have the logistics to simply support them. And that's really a main problem. Nice hacks. Oh dear, yes indeed. And here Testbunny is taking it basically like a gentleman. Just saying thanks and pretty much just not responding any way really to it. And finally getting a Greyhound. Just odd. Good old vet hacks. Something tells me this guy might not actually be knowing how the game works. You can't hack that.
We are losing.
And he's probably referring to the simple fact that the Panzer Elite shares veterancy between its units.
Our forces are taking casualties.
And that's the thing about them. I mean, if a unit fights next to another one and it kills it, the other units nearby get veterancy. I mean, and that's why I wanted to show this and of course explain it, because, well, that's how the Panzer Elite works. It shares its veterancy. I mean, that's where even a kitten crowd can in fact gain veterancy because it's nearby fighting units. Very important bit right there. But let us speed things up. This is pretty much just sad. Medic station down. Interestingly enough, there's not been a single BAR picked up by the Testbunny forces. Can see from your trust rating, you can't see that either. He's just making up stuff. That's actually pretty interesting, you know. You can see how many disputes, but that's not your trust rating. That's completely different. So again, I mean, he's just making up stuff, and this is the sort of thing you usually see from some people, and also why you have to be careful about all these claims about hacks. There's a lot of people who actually don't know how the game works, and of course, even if they do, they sort of delude themselves to thinking, well, there must be some sort of hack because I'm brilliant, I am the reincarnation of Rommel, Patton, or some other great general. I cannot be defeated if I am. There must be cheating involved. So there you go, a bit of a sad lesson in that, but I thought it might be necessary for some of you newer players again. And of course, about the fight itself, I mean, what can we learn? I mean, with your Panzer Grenades again, use them aggressively, use them to fight, don't use them primarily to seize territory. That was the main problem. Don't have them hanging about where they don't do anything for a large part of the fight. That's sort of the job for a heavy machine gun or something like that, not Panzer Grenadiers. I mean, he could have used those Luftwaffe troops, lay down a flak feeling, and that would have done a better job. For the other hand, for Pretix, don't get 7 rifleman teams and not get a single supply and upgrade. I mean, he basically strangled himself, throttled himself by not getting the supply and upgrades. That was a really main problem. And of course, the usual bang your head into a wall problem, and not really the sort of thing either. He did alright as soon as he sort of forced Testbunny away, but that never really happened much, and he didn't prepare for the inevitable counterattack. That's also what you'd call a problem. So there you go, I hope you enjoyed, and of course, don't hang about with a riverbed flak Panzer at a side corner where there's no fighting happening for a large part of the game. But there you go, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.